Here in our a new episode. We are launching into a new book of Exodus. We just finished Job last month, so we're excited to be getting into a new book. Morgan is going to be heading this week. I don't like how that went together. Be heading. Morgan is going to Morgan is going to lead this month. Um, and I wanted to start off by saying that
This
this
is
is
cookies.
I was about to do it. I really was. I was about to do it. I was about to say, I wanted to start off by saying, what we need to do is just have a whole commercial where we already know what's going on. But anyway, I wanted to explain what Cookies in Christ is. And that would be our live Bible study that we get together and do with you all through my Patreon. It's really like two friends getting together and discussing what they learned individually in the Bible, coming together, sharing notes with you all. Sometimes we have patrons who chime in and state their point of views as well, but we definitely have more people that watch the replay. Okay, so that's if that's you, we appreciate you as well. So Morgan is going to get into Exodus, which usually in every other Bible is Genesis and then Exodus. We've said this before. We have a chronological Bible, so it was Genesis, Job, Exodus. So we have to remember what we learned in Genesis because Exodus is like the continuation of what happened in Genesis. So, Morgan.
Do, 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 do. Okay, guys. So I'm hearing an echo.
I have an echo.
I'm hearing it's gone. Okay. Um, this section of our Bible is called the Birth of Israel, and you guys will soon figure out. So, just to kind of recap what happened up until this point, because we kind of left Genesis for a second to talk about my man Job. Um, you guys remember Jacob and Joseph? Joseph, Jacob's son. And he was, the big homie to the Pharaoh, looked out by his visions. Pharaoh was like, oh, you the homie, invite your family up. I'm going to take care of y'all. Well, Jacob and Joseph died. And the Israelites, if you guys remember, Jacob's name was changed to Israel. So hence where they got their name. So the sons of Jacob and all their extended family, like it was a whole mob, stayed in Egypt. And like with all things, with time, people forget. So there became a new king or pharaoh, and he pretty much didn't know about Joseph's reputation and how he looked out for the city. What he did know was that the Israelites were growing by the number every day. And he basically had this fear that one day they would realize that they were the better, stronger people. So he came up with this devious plan. First, he enslaved them, like worked them to the bones, like what labor laws, right? Then, when that really didn't stop their reproduction, I don't even know how they found time to still get it in. He ordered the midwives to kill any Hebrew male baby born. But the midwives were like, I don't know. And they let the baby boys live. So when the Pharaoh asked, look, yo, what's good? The midwives were like, man, I don't know. Them Hebrew women, they something else. Popping them things out before we could even get there. Pharaoh, like, it's above me. They were just real clueless. And in turn, God blessed the midwives, not for for not being like savages. And they weren't blessed because they lied, because of course we know you're not supposed to lie. But they were blessed because they knew they had their own moral compass and they knew right from wrong and they knew that it was wrong to prosecute people. So then Pharaoh was like, bet, new decree, toss every newborn Hebrew baby into the river. It was wild. Anywho, meanwhile, a Levite man and woman got married, got pregnant, had a baby boy. And, she did her best to keep him hidden for a few months. But then she was like, all right, I can't do this no more. Wove my man a cute little basket and sent him down river. The baby's sister, a little bit older, was watching just to see what would happen. And fortunately, right at this exact time, match the timing, the Pharaoh's daughter was taking her bath in the river. We won't get into it. And she saw the basket and told her maid, lift that thing out. And so she was like, oh, this must be one of them Hebrew babies. because who else would have that baby in the river? And the girl, I'm guessing she was just standing there like a little creeper. She was like, "Oh, would you like me to go get one of the Hebrew women to nurse the baby?" And she like, "Oh yes, that's a wonderful idea." She went to go got her mama. Boom, she got her baby back. So she was allowed to nurse him and get paid for it. Look at that. Anywho, so he went back with his family for a little while longer, but when he was old enough, they sent him back to the castle. Where does Pharaoh live? In the castle?
I don't know what it's called.
In the palace. I think it's the palace. Um, the daughter adopted him, air quote, and named him Morgan. I said Morgan. Woo! Moses. Named him Moses, which means lifted from the water. We won't go there, y'all. um, Now it was no secret that Moses was a Hebrew, and he wanted to get back to his roots. So he would often just make the trek into the city, visit his people. During one visit, he noticed there was an Egyptian being very brutal to a Hebrew man. So Moses went ahead and killed him. I don't know why, but he did. Like he was just that angry, I suppose. And of course, Pharaoh learned about this, so Moses ran off because he was afraid to be punished for what he did. And he ended up in a town called Midian. While he was there, he noticed that some girls were being picked on by these guys. So he helped the girls and defended them and drew water for the flocks. When the girls told their dad about what he do, that dad was a priest, they were like, "Oh, invite him on over." Boom. Moses ended up with a wife named Zipporah, and he had his first son, Gershom. All right, so Moses is all right, for being on the run. Anywho, back in Egypt, things are still dismal. All right. The Hebrews are really just getting tired of just being treated so poorly. They're still enslaved. Their children are being killed. And their cries make it to God, who realizes that all right, enough is enough. Things have got to change. So one day, Moses is out in the wild tending to his father-in-law's flocks when out of nowhere, absolutely nowhere, a bush caught on fire. Moses stood there amazed because the bush was not burning up. It was not asunder. So what did he do? Walk towards it. And then from the middle of the bush, a voice was calling his name. Moses. Moses. It was God. So the voice tells Moses, "I'm God. I see what's happening back with the homies in Egypt, and I'm not here for it. I'm gonna need you to confront Pharaoh." Moses was like, "Have you met Pharaoh?" And who am I? Basically, like questioning who is he to do this task. And God said, "Don't even worry about it. I got you. And if the folks ask, which they shouldn't, but tell them that I am who I am, and I am sent you, the God of their fathers, Abraham, Isaac, Jacob." Like he went down the list, check his resume. Um, and he told him to go ahead and talk to the elders, then go talk to Pharaoh. Tell him that y'all want to go out of town for a few days. And I already know he's gonna say no, but don't even worry about that either. A series of unfortunate events are going to force his hand. Have y'all seen that series, Lemony Snickets? Anyway, um, he told Moses, "I just need you to do what I told you to do. Don't even worry about the stuff." And Moses was still iffy about the mission. So God did a little demonstration and told him to throw his staff down on the ground. Boom, that joint turned into a steak. Then God told him to grab it by his tail and to turn back into a staff. Then God had him put his hand in his pocket and take it out. Boom, leprosy, skin disease. Had him put it back in. It was fresh. It was normal. And he was like, "All right, when you go into the city, go ahead and do those things as signs to help the people believe. And if that don't work, I want you to take some water from the Nile, pour it on the ground, go turn to blood." Even in all this, Moses was still questioning his ability to execute the task that God told him to do. So finally, annoyed, God lets Aaron, Moses' brother, be like the spokesman, like the face of the mission, And he said, "Fine." So Moses packed up his family, said bye to his father-in-law, started making his way to Egypt. One night they made a stop, and God was literally about to kill Gershom. So Moses' wife, Zipporah, did basically an emergency on the spot circumcision to save his life. And after that, God told Aaron to meet Moses out in the wilderness. Moses shared the mission. The duo returned to Egypt, met with the elders, did the signs just like God told him to do. And finally, news spread, and the Israelites were like happy and rejoicing that God heard their cries. It was a wild story. A wild, wild story.
It was. Especially the way you tell it.
I mean,
um,
did I embellish?
no, I mean that is the word. Um, hold on a second. I have to make a note. Mm.
So that's like the basic summary. But if we go back and like break down, because I kind of broke down my notes into like the section. So our book breaks down this section into three parts. So the first part just talks about like the slavery in Egypt. And one of the things that stood out to me, well, what did that remind you of? How like the Pharaoh feared the potential for these people to rise up or realize their power and come against them. So he preemptively strike. Like, what did that
Hitler.
yes.
I was like, history repeating itself. And it's just sad because it's really out of fear.
Yeah.
Like you did all of this and said that you pretended, not pretended, but you made up in your mind that they were going to rise up. They didn't give you any intent that they were going to, be bad people. You thought they was going to form an army. What army? Like it's just you made all of this commotion and then got all these other people involved and was like, we gotta, suppress them in order to keep ourselves, above. And but we was all just chilling a week ago. Like it's like they all forgot what Joseph had done and all the great that these people had contributed to this nation. Like we good like at this point in time. So it's kind of messed up.
Yeah. So I had I didn't have notes, but I had the thought like, where did this new Pharaoh come from? Because unless this is like literally hundreds years,
400 years later.
so you mean, but back then they was living long. So 400 years was really only like 40. So you mean to tell me from your youth you couldn't remember the story of Joseph? They ain't talk to y'all about Joseph in
It's not even needed to be taught. They should have been etched inside of one of them on one of the walls. Like he should have had a whole hieroglyphic.
Yeah, like that's I'm so no, yeah.
I'm just saying, like he should be in history. Him and all his descendants. This is like him. All his brothers died, like the entire generation. Um, and then, but their descendants are the Israelites. And I don't know why the disconnect happened, other than maybe the idea that he's acting on it, but somebody behind the scenes always had that feeling, especially if you know what the people are destined to be. It's hard to be like, I'm the king, but you telling me that you got this God that's supposed to say that y'all supposed to be above.
But did did Joseph tell Pharaoh that God had that vision? I don't think he did.
So I think Joseph learned his lesson.
Okay, Joseph was smart. He wouldn't have been like, "Yeah, my people about to be up top." Like, no, he said that.
Because it didn't go well the last time he started telling people about what God was going to do. So I would assume that he didn't tell them. But again, if he felt like those people were growing, but you know what else it made me feel like, and this is more current to us, is that is how people feel about immigrants in our nation. In America, they feel like immigrants are taking over, they're taking jobs, they're growing in numbers, they're coming over here in droves. Um, and a lot of people are fearful of that to the degree in which they go along with certain policies that may be tearing up people, we harm people more than help the cause that they even want to stand for. So I didn't write down Holocaust into, well, I didn't write down Hitler and Holocaust in Germany and all of that, but I did write down immigration.
And then
I might want to write down Holocaust too.
what did I have? I thought it was cool in 112 where he was like, the more the Egyptians oppressed them, the more the Israelites multiplied and spread. So it was just like even when someone tries to, like, for lack of a better word, spoil you, you know, what's for you is ultimately going to be for you. Like,
Remember, was it Jacob with the sheep? And he was like, and then God was like, boop,
everything's speckled.
boop.
Um, so that was Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
Then the last part I had from that first section was I wanted to know how how the midwives, they lied to me, which was kind of risky because this Pharaoh seemed a little unpredictable. Like he would have just been like, kill him. I'll find some midwives who get it done. And I wanted to know how many of us are willing to do something when our job, like the thing that we make our living from, requires us to do something that we may be morally against. Like, how do you address that, or what do you do? Or do you say, "I don't need this job. My man worked too," and quit like Rochelle on Everybody Has Chris, or do
She
you,
said, my man got two jobs.
or do suck it up and realize that you have responsibilities and different things like that, and you can't afford to take that stand.
I think to each person will have their own. It depends on the severity of your job. Now, if somebody said, "Hey, change that sticker on the bread," versus
Something you're
change
morally,
that sticker on the
no,
on
something you're
something.
morally against. Not changing stickers on the brick. Moral, like you're morally against
I
it.
don't know because people can get sick if you changing the date, and people they get the moldy bread. I don't know,
I
but
love to like,
but but yeah, but something to a better degree. I did write that. I said, when officers decide to hold the line, and in which they decide like I'm not going to tell on my fellow officer, which is what would be the immoral thing to do, but it's like that's what the culture tells you is the right thing to do. Um, so I thought about that. Um, if your job, Aaron Brockovich, the movie with Julia, no, the lady who played in Pretty Woman,
yes,
Julia Roberts, when the people who were doing the drilling, they knew that they were causing some chemical issues in the water, and they still didn't stop the drilling. So they yeah, regular jobs can do that too. Have those kind of, when you got a Verizon bill, you work for Verizon, you're not telling people that there's some random charge in there for 50 cents, and you just like, well, that's just 50 cents, but it's like millions of dollars for Verizon. So I think there are many of us that come up against that predicament. It is interesting to know how we tend to go with it. But when you have like their job was to deliver babies, and you telling them that take them and throw them if they're boys, it's kind of, that's so unethical. It's like how enraged are you as a king to feel like that's the length that you need to go to kill innocent babies? That's kind of, that's wild. Like nobody was there to check you and say, "Hey, you sure?" Like, I don't know about that one. I think, can we just tell them we want them all to leave, or we already been enslaved? Like, I don't know. I would rather somebody tell me, "Hey, we're gonna help you, relocate," versus we're gonna bust up in the house and take the baby from his mother, type of thing. So
why wasn't that the default? Just leave. Here's a decree: no Egyptians can be within 300 whatever
uh,
acres of this
like,
land. Like, bye.
I don't know. I don't. That's us. I don't.
Yeah.
Man was sick. He is by far probably the most wicked person that we have met so far. Um, just because of that severity, like you have so much power and you used it in this degree. Other people have definitely done wrong, like you got Cain. So, but on this level of drown them, kill them, and anybody, like when they didn't decide to do it, I believe the order was for anybody, and like anybody was going to be able to take a baby. It wasn't just soldiers. It wasn't just the midwives. It was like you at the grocery store and somebody peeped a baby boy, the next person in line can just take your baby and throw it across the room or something like that and really hurt it. So that's wild.
Did you have any more notes from?
Um, Where did I have something for two?
All right, well, let's stop it.
I don't have anything else for one. Oh, I think you already touched on it when I was like, they lied? Question mark. But in which they did. But it was different. It's not like God saying, "Oh, tell a white lie and it'll be okay." It's more like to have to choose between such a going along with such a heinous act versus um going towards what you know God wants you to do, and it put in a position where you can't really say anything other than that, or you feel you can't say anything other than that, then by far choose that, because you sitting there killing babies is not going to be cool either. Unless your option was to gracefully bow out and say, I quit, I'm not going to be able to carry through that. I'm just going to. But I think that they were supposed to be there because they're the ones saying no. Like, just because you quit a job because you're not able to do the bad act doesn't mean you did something good. You didn't really change the situation. So you couldn't, you know, deliver the bad medicine to the patient. You say, I quit. They still gonna do it when you leave. Like, you might as well probably be there and give them the real medicine and sneak it or whatever the case may be. Not trying to get nobody to, fired or anything like that. But I'm just saying, like, if you're put in a position to do something good and it may cause you to have to slide in that way, it's better than following through with the bad act. Is all I'm saying. But I feel like they did lie, and it's not like God is, you know, stamping their lie and saying that's good, but they were put in a position where they did this or that, and they chose, the better option.
Well, the other part was I just read down here in the notes. These were Hebrew midwives. Yeah.
It does say that. It said, "Did God bless the Hebrew midwives for lying?"
And I was like, let me read.
Too. So yeah, so these are my people, and on top of just people loving on people, yeah, so that was my only note, and yeah, it's just that Pharaoh was acting out of pure fear that I don't even know, like, that had to be from out the blue. I don't believe anybody did anything to make him feel like he needed to come up with this plan.
Well, so you said you were like, he is by far the most like wicked person that we've encountered so far. I also feel like up until this point, when people have gotten a little out of pocket, God's tapped their hands rather quickly. Like when what was the first king's name? Slept with was trying to bed Abraham's wife, and then everything got him.
Started with an A.
Yeah. But like it happened super quick. He's like, "Why did you lie to me? Like, look at what's happening." Like it was very quick. But now that he's been doing, he's been slaving them.
Was it Abimelech?
Yeah, Abimelech.
Yeah.
Now that he's been slaving these people for, we'll say, hundreds of years, or it seems like the God of their people has gone, silent or hasn't really flexed his muscle. Maybe he's thinking he can wise up, because I think that level of fear, even though they did not worship God, they knew about him. You know what I'm saying? And if they don't know about Joseph, somebody who was in the flesh, do they know about God? Nah. Or at least, about how he about it. Nah. So I think that's probably why he was just so ruthless and out of pocket, because he didn't get those swift kicks in the tail like these other people have had in the past when they've done wrong. But that's just a theory.
Could be.
So next we move into section 2, and I have my note about Exodus 2:1-4, talking about the willingness of Moses' mother to basically release her son. And it doesn't really say, or at least how I read it, I couldn't tell if she put him in the basket to save him in hopes that somebody kind would find him and keep him, or if she was doing what what the creed was putting.
I think it was with the intentions of somebody finding him, else you would have just put the baby in the river, because he would have just sank. And yeah.
Well, you can't know, because then I feel like that's hard. It's harder to watch your baby drown than it is to just watch him
float away.
Yes, because last time I saw him, that boy was good. Like that's
but even so, that's still hope. That's still hope. I'm just saying, even that is still hope that maybe he maybe a nice wolf, be like Mowgli, like the Jungle Book. Maybe somebody or some animal would have found him and helped him, type of thing. But yeah, I think her intentions was to help her child, like at least put it in God's hands.
Yeah. So I
Like,
said to have faith that God would take care of him. And it kind of reminded me a little bit of Abraham when he had to take his son and sacrifice him.
mm,
And, just like God, he didn't even flinch.
yeah.
Abraham did. So I thought that was cool, kind of made that correlation. Um, 2, 5 through 9.
Hold on. I got 2, 3.
Okay, go ahead.
Hold on. Oh, well, in that situation, I just said, could I give up my child if I knew that it was a better situation for them? And it's not even something extreme like this. Like I'm talking like regular, like now, like could you put your child up for adoption
We
um
ain't got there yet.
for a better life? No, I mean she put him in the basket.
Well, yeah, but I still don't see how putting them in the basket is giving them up for a better life. Because all,
He would have definitely died with me.
but
There's a
for all she knew. But here's the thing: if there is this mass pandemonium or messaging that the Egyptians really believe that the Hebrews are bad, the only other person who could have found him besides the Hebrew, in which he was going to get thrown into the river, would have been an Egyptian, and they would have snapped his neck or threw him into the river per the Pharaoh's decree.
well, sometimes if you feel like something bad is going to happen, it's like at least he didn't die at the hands of his mother.
Yeah, that's why she put him in a basket instead of just throwing him in the
But
river.
there's still hope. I'm just saying, I don't have the option of putting them in a basket and sending them up the river. But if I would have dropped my child, some people do put their baby in the basket and knock on the door and leave, or put them at the fire. There was a baby that was found at a fire station that was like about to die from being too cold. The person just left the baby and yeah, they didn't knock, they didn't make sure, hey, this is her formula, this is this that. Can you please take her? It was like it's out of my hands. If somebody find her, hopefully, but this is as far as my part goes. But either way, I'm just saying, could I know I don't have the strength to be like, let me drown you like this random man says, or just throw you in the river and just walk away. Um, I know that's not what I would have done, but do I still have the like I don't know. I probably would have been like, hey, let's just switch his name and keep his diaper closed. I don't know. Because
Yeah,
a baby crying
like
is a baby crying.
throw out. You don't know that you're a girl or a boy until later.
But you know that, and that was another question for me that I didn't really find, because I was like, well, Aaron was there, like how Aaron like where Aaron come from? He just arrives as Moses' brother on in the books, but well in the book, and I had to do more research to figure out like
Maybe
was he,
Aaron was an older brother.
that's what I said, was he older or was he younger? I'm thinking he had to have been older because it would have been the same situation. So I was like, but it didn't specify that. So I had to think like, oh, he must be his older brother. But yeah, that was my question to myself, which is, would I be able to give my child up if it was a better life? But again, not on survival, but even on, I'm not capable of giving them the lifestyle that I think maybe my parents are at this time. Maybe my parents should adopt my child. I've seen people do that. It doesn't have to be anything extreme, like, dropping them off at the fire station. But I know that some people do it, and I think it's a courageous act if you think that that's going to be better for your child, because I know that hurts. But we are in two now. Two, one, two. No, three. You want to go to three? No, you said five.
Yes, I said 2, 5, 2, 5.
Oh, okay, okay.
Yes,
No, I was like, we didn't even read five. Go ahead.
man. Um, I wrote, how exciting is it that things worked out in the end? And how that little girl was so smart, and
Miriam.
even the mom even got paid for nursing her own baby. Like how clutch.
Yeah.
And I want to say that I also thought that she was kind of courageous because here she is, a little girl. We don't know how old she is, but she went up to a freaking princess and was like, "You're so."
Yeah. I said Miriam hit her with the okie doke, and they got paid. That's good. That was good.
So from there, I got I wrote shoot your shot. Always shoot your shot. Um,
Yeah, and I mean, and it worked out really, really good. She was like, "Oh, well, I can help you with that. That's good." I
um,
mean, and then I don't know if it made it even harder because she did eventually, like, babies don't nurse forever. So then you eventually still have to part ways, but you did have that moment, and it was peaceful moment. It wasn't like
fear.
I gotta hide him. I gotta make sure he don't cry. I gotta make sure, it was like, oh, I'm gonna sit here, and I'm sure they gave her a nice, comfortable place. I'm gonna sit here by the lake, and I'm gonna feed this baby that I have no connection to, but I'm gonna stroke his little head and tickle his little feet.
Looks good.
So
Thank you.
that is something too. But it's probably just, we both Hebrew, so we all look alike. I don't know.
Yeah. For 215, I had why Grandpa Pharaoh did not like Moses.
Because he was Hebrew.
Yeah, but why even let his daughter adopt the boy?
That part, it's a daddy daughter thing, I believe. That's what I could have, that what I chalked it up to. I was like, it's like if you said no relation, but if you said I don't like pets in my house. Like, you can't have no gerbil, no cat, no dog, and then your baby girl be like, but I found this cute little kitten, and he was like, all right, just this one kitten, but he low key don't like the kitten the whole time, and then the kitten peed on the white rug, thus him killing the other man. That's how I equated it. It was like, oh, my baby girl wants this, and I believe she wasn't able to have children.
So that's all fine and well good. If Moses was there for like a week, he was there for years. This man grew up in the palace. I'm calling it palace. He was trained by Egyptian military because clearly my man was an assassin.
When he met the people at the web, mess
My
around at that
man
web.
was a smooth killer. All right, he ain't play no games with them hands. Um, so he was taught well, he was dressed well. It wasn't like the girl brought him home yesterday. He been there for years. So you mean to tell me in all these years
Yeah.
you didn't grow any fondness to me? And going back to like your pet thing, I know
When you have your hate, you can't get past that sometimes.
everything. I know I am anti pet. So that will never change for me. It's just not happening. But I know people who do have pets and over time they grow, who say, oh, I'm not feeling it, and they do grow fond over years. I'm not one of those people, but I'm not going to necessarily kill the pet given a first little slip up or mishap.
Look, this man didn't kill countless, endless babies. I'm sure he just waiting for the chance. Look, first chance he
But
get.
that one is my
If he
grandson.
mess up this spelling word, if he pee in the bed, if he don't eat these peas, he probably was threatening them the whole time. Just, it doesn't mean that he grew up, and that's what I was thinking. Like, it doesn't feel good. Like, he had to grow up to see his people mistreated. He had to grow up. Like, I watched the Colin Kaepernick story, and a lot of people are like, well, what does he have to complain about? He grew up kind of rich. He grew up with a nice family. Though he was adopted, it was a nice family. And then you watch his story and his interpretation of how things went. And it was like, yes, all of this was nice, and I still look different. So though my parents were nice to me, though the princess was nice to him, other people knowing that he was different probably didn't treat him well. So his upbringing probably was not the best. It was probably definitely better than being a slave, but being in the palace may not have been the bee's knees. If you sticking out like a sore thumb, and people are like giving you less than, and now you can see somebody getting more, he probably had a hard time too. But as far as the pharaoh, he was just on one, and he was probably waiting for the time. But I don't know. Did he kill an Egyptian or a Hebrew?
He killed an Egyptian.
Okay, he killed an Egyptian and a Hebrew saw it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, yeah, two. Yeah, he saw. Okay, so okay,
Yeah. So I was like, dang, Grandpa don't like him. And my last note from chapter 2 talks about um 224. God heard their groaning and remembered.
I have two. What 2:9? What's the 2:9? 2:9. 2:9. 2:9. Where's 2:9?
talking about the baby.
No, oh, that was about the
The mom.
about her nursing the baby. Um, and my note just says, "Don't limit God by our standards." Like she probably thought she would never see her child again, and she probably just had it in her head like, oh, it's over, this, that, and the other. And then her daughter, who was also, to my knowledge, a kid. It's not like, I don't believe she's a woman, because a woman walking up on a princess is a little different than a young lady walking up on a princess. So I'm assuming that Miriam at this age, um, probably was quite young and did all of this. So to have a child put together this situation and to be your child, and you're able to be reunited with your child, with Moses, who is your child. I thought that was amazing. So I just said, don't limit God by my own standards, what I think, like put him in a box and this is what I think he can do. Because I thought that was a miracle. Like I can imagine she was at home crying, 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 and then one day Miriam was like, I found him.
No, it was
That
the
I'm
same
just saying
day.
like that,
It
huh?
was the same day.
I know, but to say like, "Hey, stop crying! I found him." Like he ended up okay. Well, I don't know. In the movie that I watched, it was the same day, but I mean, I don't know.
Look, it said she said it says the girl followed the basket. She watched.
Oh yeah, okay, so yeah, but still, you can't tell me when that basket drifted away. Tears, endless. She was crying. She had to have been crying. She had to be worried at least, and for your daughter to come back and be like, "I found him. He's fine, and you can go see him." But yeah, go ahead with Hold on, what did it say? My dad. Oh, I just put the note that my dad said, someone is always watching you. He gave me that note. I learned that from my dad because it was cold outside. I believe it was snowing. It had to be snowing. And I slipped and fell. And and I ran in the house because I was embarrassed. And I was like, you know what? I don't need to be embarrassed. Nobody saw me. My dad was like, somebody always watching. so, so he thought, Moses thought he had gotten away with killing the man. Um, and then, it all came back up. So we sit there and think, oh, I did my sin, just me and God know. All the while, a whole bunch of people then found out, or whatever the case may be. Are you in, what is remembered?
I am 224. Yeah, that's where I was.
Okay, go ahead.
Um, I wrote that quote down because it talked about them. He remembered his covenant, and the way that it's worded, it was like, did he forget? Um, like what was he doing? And but without even answering that, I just wrote like sometimes we'll suffer for long extended periods of time before God decides that it's time to act and to just not give up. Cry out, cry out, cry out and pray to God just like they just did for however long it takes. You will always be remembered in the end. I wrote it.
Hmm. I had the same note. It's not remembered like, oh yeah, I forgot that y'all was. It wasn't like he forgot. It's more. It is definitely action. So when it says God remembered, as in God is about to take action on this, it's not like he wasn't there the whole time. Omnipresent.
No, I didn't say he wasn't there. I just said, did he forget that he? Oh yeah, I did tell them I was going to the room. Let me go do that. It's like when your kids be like, "Mom, hungry." All right, here I come. 3 hours later. Oh yeah, you did ask me for food, and I didn't purposely not feed you.
Mhm.
Yeah, so that's why I was like, remember, it just someone reading that might be like, "Oh, well, God forgot about me." So it's not like he forgot about
And
me.
and this is not the first time it says remembered.
Yeah, I think we touched on that before.
Yeah.
Was it? It
Yeah.
was when Joseph was in jail.
Okay. Yeah, that was definitely, he was in that thing for years.
Whew. All right, chapter 3, bro. I would be amazed too at a non-burning flame bush, but I'm not going to investigate, and I'm certainly not continuing to walk towards it once it starts whispering my name.
I mean, it depends.
Nah,
They no. Like we have experienced some stuff that make you feel like I've been drugged. Okay. Versus finally it's my opportunity to hear from the Lord. This must be the Lord. Like
you didn't
that's
know it was
the
the
first
Lord.
thing.
He didn't know.
I'm just saying when it's culture that people been hearing from God for a while. I mean, he did maybe go silent for a period of time, but it's like a thing versus we sit here and if you hear people, you need to go see people. like like this just the way that our culture is. It's not like, oh, God was talking to me yesterday. He was standing right there. Like that's not what we say to each other. So, but it's amazing that it's in different ways. Like it's not the same all the time. What I took from that, not what I took from it, but what I started to harp on is that it keeps saying angel of the Lord. And I was like, is the angel of the Lord? Like I was researching that. Um and there is a big like uproar about that because I was like, somebody else was wrestling with a man who was an angel that was God. Was is Jacob, and that's how he got his name changed to Israel. Um, and so from what I have gathered, some people feel like it is an angel, and some people feel like when they say angel of the Lord, it is a representation of God in the form of whatever is there. So if it's the angel, if it's a man, it could be a talking donkey, whatever it is, that is the representation of God that He is given to you. So right here, this burning bush with the angel in the middle.
Yeah, he would have had to appear in another way for me myself. Because I just
I would have been amazed. I think I mean, I would have been afraid. I don't know if I would have went closer until I heard it speak.
right. And I probably no, I wouldn't have went closer till he said, "It is me, God."
But anything can say it's me. It could be like you gotta feel it. I think you know. I think you'll know. I think you
I'm
just.
just saying, burning bush. That's pretty dope. I'm gonna stand right here and watch it.
I definitely would have hit the Sleeping Beauty trying to touch it.
Nope. When I had put my hand in, that's what
I definitely, if I saw a blue flame, first of all, that's like the highest of the high. I still would have been like,
then how it know my name? Mm. How does flame?
it said it twice. You
Yeah,
know, how you be like, it's dark, dark. It's cold, cold. Moses, Moses.
how does flame know my name? Nah, it wouldn't have been till he said.
I would definitely took a look around, like, stop playing.
He replied, "Here I am." I mean, it's between you and the sheep. Obviously, he knows you're there. There's nobody else out here but you, the bush, and the sheep.
Oh, I didn't take note of that place. Um, Sinai.
Well, yeah.
Uh,
So then, yeah. So then he's like, um, "Pause, peasant. Remove your shoes. This holy ground."
because that's where the Ten Commandments came from.
Well, they haven't been made yet.
I know. I'm just saying. Like, I thought that was really interesting. Oh, okay.
But so,
Yeah.
no, what I had was that, well, number one, he's like, "This is holy ground," and I wrote, "It's dope that we can literally, transform any space that we constantly pray and communicate with God to be a holy space." And then I wanted, well, if we had people on, I was going to ask how many people have like, a prayer closet or like a dedicated space for like their prayer and their worship or like their time with God. I don't have a dedicated space. I just, whenever I feel like, oh, I need, hello, it's an emergency. I'm on the toilet. Like sometimes you just got an emergency, and I know some. Yeah,
I I don't have a designated. I mean, I'm in my creative space, but I can say that I want to do better at that. Like yesterday, I was studying, and my mom called, and I haven't talked to her in a while, and I was like, "It's my mom. It could be anything. It's my mom." So I picked up the phone and I talked to her. I told her I was studying. Usually, what's supposed to happen, Ma, don't watch this part. What's supposed to happen is you say, "Oh, I answered because I know who it was, but I'm studying the Bible," and they're gonna be like, "Oh, all right, I'm gonna let you go." Nah, we was talking, and I'm just like, "Oh yeah, I was just in the Word." So, but eventually got off the phone with her, and then somebody else called, and I was like, Nah. So what I was alluding to is what you were saying about a sacred space. It could be a sacred like just moment in time. Like it doesn't have to be the actual space is holy, but like this, when I'm here, I'm here. I'm all yours type of thing.
And in defense of Big D, hey Miss D, um, that don't work for me either. I used to call Kelly every morning. What you doing? Reading. All right. So anyway,
No, this is what I used to do. I used to be like, I'm reading the Bible. Girl, you gotta get this Bible. You gotta go in here. Like they tripping. Like you stop watching Tyler Perry movies. This is it. Like it's the same stuff.
but anyway, yeah. But the deal was Kelly knew I called every day at the same time. Why she ain't just start reading earlier? Why would she pick the time that I was calling to start reading?
She's so selfish.
Maybe
Or she's so spoiled. I don't know what it is. She one of them. She's so one of them.
I thought it was super cool that Moses looked away and like bowed down when he realized it was
Reverence.
to show his reverence. And but here's where I question if the Pharaoh didn't know about God's reputation, and it had been so long since Jacob and Joseph and that lineage had passed. Not saying that they hadn't taught their kids, but how did Moses get exposed to it being growing up in the palace with the Egyptians since they worship all those different, you know what I'm saying, gods? How did he know that this was the God and he needed to show that level of reverence to, especially considering his upbringing? I had that question.
Mm, interesting.
Yeah.
I don't got no answer for that one.
I'm laughing. In the column where it says he walking up, I must go see it. I wrote nope,
I must go see it.
nope.
I don't know. Yeah, I would have went. But again, like yeah, I would have went. I'd have went.
So this is a big section. I have 3:11 through 15. I wrote, you better flex. So does anyone like when God flexes? Like, I just be like, yes, God, talk that talk. I am who I am. That was the Eminem song, right?
I put chosen like in capitals. Like I like I highlighted that in bright orange.
Um, but then in the same section, I wrote, when God gives us an assignment, we often question, are we equipped and able to carry it out? But we should know that when he tells us to do something, he's there with us, and there's nothing or no one that can stop it because he is who he is, like he just told y'all.
I, so I have struggled with like I had to add a little tipping. I don't know if y'all can see. I had to add a little tipping. In my note, that's why I wrote chosen real big, and it has like 3 exclamation points. It says, "This is how I feel in almost every accomplishment, as if I don't deserve it, or I'm not prepared for it, I'm not ready, or somebody could have did a better job. But I have to admit and walk because I've been chosen by God, and that's enough. That should be enough. Like that's prime right there. Like who cares if you don't think you're ready? You what you think is supersedes what I already know. That doesn't make sense. So I went and wrote a list of all I said all of the positions God has blessed me to have and thrive in that I felt that I wasn't ready for, but God provided resources to help me, and that's what He did. Eventually, that's what He does with Moses as well. And I just wrote my little list of all the positions. I know some of them like wife and parent. Neither one of them positions came with a manual. The children came out. The hospital didn't send me with no pamphlet or nothing. As a matter of fact, when I was leaving, the nurse said, "I'll see you next year," and she sure did. So I was like, wow. So I mean, I'm glad that we have a lot of resources now to help us, and even like if we want to take, well, what are we usually in like Ephesians, I believe, and saying like the roles of being a parent and being a child and being a spouse. God's given us, resources in the book as well. So I don't know. I feel like I hope that the next time I'm given an assignment, I take it in stride because a lot of them have been like that. Even like now, being a teacher, I was like, I don't know how to teach. I'm an introvert. I don't like talking to people. High school kids are ruthless. I'm already small. I look like them. And it's a middle school attached. Matter of fact, I look like them. Like it's just it was so much doubt. It was so much doubt. And I had to stop leading with that when I introduced myself. I was like, yeah, I'm here. I'm the new teacher. I don't even know what I'm doing here. You know, I'm just following the Lord. Like you gotta be more confident. Like, yo, God put me here for a purpose. I might not even know what that purpose is, but I'm figuring it out. Or you know the purpose is, you walk in it, you tell people, you don't tell people, whatever you know you choose, but you act in it. And I think it's amazing when that comes into play. Like, wow, like God working on me.
So I think that's cool. I mean, I think that's cool what you did, like writing it down how, you've already stepped in the room. God laid out the steps. Um, so two separate thoughts here. One, and we haven't even got to the point, but like this is just the first spot when Moses basically shows like his insecurity or he doesn't feel like he is equipped to carry out the mission. And this is we're gonna talk about that more. Um, but what I'm about to say doesn't really apply to him. I feel like us as the general human beings, maybe not you, but we have all those doubts in our head because when you do not have the strongest connection to God and you are not sure if He is telling you to move in a certain direction or if it's you and like your agenda and your ego, and it's like you're waiting for the signs that say this is it, but sometimes it's so subtle that you think, well, was that really you? Can you send me a big, write it out in the sky, in the clouds? Like, we want these major signs that God basically landed a plane for us. And when we don't get it, we're filled with all these doubt because it's like, is that really you, God? Are you really telling me to do this? Are you really telling me to quit my job, God? You know what I'm
That
saying? Like,
is.
and then when you don't hear it the way that you feel like you should be hearing it, you question it. You're like, I don't know. What am I supposed to say? What am I supposed to do? How do I navigate this? How am I pay my bills? Like all of that doubt comes in, and we would just want like a blueprint. But like you said, there is no blueprint. There's no blueprint to Christianity. I mean, there's a Bible, but there is no like cut and dry, as we've seen countless times. Like there are some great people in the Bible. None of them were perfect, except for Jesus. Um, But so I think that that doubt and that questioning is easy for us to do or not feel equipped when we don't know when we don't know if we're hearing from God, but hearing from God only comes from establishing that relationship with Him through reading the Bible, tuning in to Cookies and Christ, Daddy and Kelly. Nah, not the last parts. But y'all get what I'm saying. But in this case with Moses, he clearly knows the Lord, via Bush, has told him what's good. Like he having a full conversation, the conversation that we wish that we would have, plain and simple. Again, please no bushes for me. But yes, that direct conversation. He is having the conversation. He knows his assignment, and he is still questioning it, like, and still feeling those insecurities. So that's the thing. And then also, I wonder if his insecurity is, who am I to lead these people when I've been growing up in the palace?
Yeah, that's good.
Yes.
You could feel a little inadequate. Like, how can I can't even relate.
Yeah.
Like,
How can I effectively lead them if I haven't really been there with them? So that could be a multitude of reasons. I mean, abandonment issues from his parents. Who knows? Um, but so that's my only rebuttal that I had to what you just said. Good talking points, Kiki.
you I had 13
Go
when
ahead.
he protested. He said if, and I was like, why is this still an option? Like, how do you tell God? I'm not saying that I have never said anything bad or done the wrong thing, but this dude was weird. Like he's talking to God. Like we are having an open dialogue, and he's saying, if I go to the people of Israel and tell them, I was stuck at if. I was like, what do you mean?
No.
It was like, I don't know. I just felt like it would be more of a when I go, like, I'm gonna do it. I'm just,
Okay.
yeah, like I just thought it would be more like, let's speak life into the situation. And that's the same thing that I feel like we have to do. when God does this and when this happens and when, when I, get my new car, or when I get my, my job, or when I have my first child. When you say when versus if God, or at this point, I don't think if should come out of his mouth at all. But I mean,
I'm okay with the first if.
he said the first.
Me and God got angry later. But this first if, I was like, I mean, because to me, I didn't really read it as, well, yes, it is a if I go, but it was like, all right, if I go and they say, if I go and tell them this and they say this, then what do I say? It wasn't a if I decide to go. I read it as a if I tell them that and they respond this way, what do I say next? Not necessarily. That's how I read it. But hearing you,
Okay, so you saying that the and counteracts the if.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm saying it wasn't a if about if I go. It was a if they reply this way.
Okay.
Yeah.
He should have worded it differently.
I mean,
But,
timid. He talking to a Brandon Webster told him he was the Lord. Off your shoes, peasant. He's thrown off his game.
okay.
Said 3:19 when he talks about the Pharaoh needing a mighty hand.
Wow.
I was just like, but yes, I know he was talking about the Pharaoh, but why that's us? Why we always gotta have a mighty hand that forces us in things that we know we just need to do the right thing? And it was like, what things in my life am I being stubborn on or holding on to until a mighty hand forces me? Like, why I gotta get to that point?
You're not alone. I'm not about to talk about my woes. But they there.
I'm why we like this?
I don't know, because I literally read the Bible, and you be looking at them like, but God with you though. Yet he's with your behind too, and you sitting there like, I don't know if I can go on this interview. I'm not even gonna apply for the job, or maybe I can eat cake and ice cream and fit into this dress. Like it's just we want what we want. I think that's I think that's the nature of human. Um, and to fight against that is a strong showing of where your allegiance lies in your faith. Um, because it's like, how you gonna want to be the best and the brightest and to conquer this you can't even conquer saying no to the cookie. Like, I'm definitely about to go over there, warm up a cookie at the bottom of a bowl, put ice cream on top, let it simmer for a bit, and then devour it.
I ain't did all that. But praise report, I have cooked a meal every night this week. Go
That's good.
trying baby steps. Trying not to, I don't say eat out, but I'm trying to woo myself. And I like to woo myself in culinary skills.
Well, I think that's good. I do, and it will save money. I
Not really. Have you seen the price of everything?
I don't even be looking. I
Count
just be putting it in the cart, and anything goes. When I get there, I just be like, "Look, God provide. Just let the swipe go through."
seen the meme where it be like these grocery store bills looking real eating outish because they are. They are. It's not. I'm not saving. And
I don't know, no, because for me it's 5 people, so you probably do all right getting a bag of this, a bag of that. So
I used to flex and could eat for about 75 meals a day, and that's 75 meals, $75 a week.
I was to say what?
$75 a week, and that was me splurging on. I eat a lot of seafood, so that was I had my seafood in there. I was doing good. Man, I can't even tell you the last time my weekly bill been $75. I am sad.
I don't know about no weekly bill being Sunday, maybe in college.
That's what I'm saying.
But over here, that's like soap. That's the soap bill. Like, that's just what it is.
You said soap.
Yeah, it's just the soap bill.
Anywho,
Oh,
going
Yahweh. Is this the first mention of Yahweh?
yeah, Yahweh. Well, no, I feel like we've heard Yahweh before, but God referred to himself as Yahweh. There was a book earlier on in Genesis with all of God's names. And
But I don't think he said Yahweh. He said Elohim.
oh, okay, yes, he did say Elohim.
So I think this is the first mention of Yahweh, spelled, well, this is phonetically spelled Yahweh, but I've definitely seen YHWH. Like the only vowel is the Y.
Never seen that.
Um,
I've always seen this one.
okay, this is my eternal name. Like that's something strong.
That's what I said. Like this whole section, I like when God was, popping off. Like, have you not read my resume? I mean, clearly Moses didn't.
He probably still had a little bit of Job in him because he had just he was like, I had just explained this to your boy just a few decades ago. But yeah, I
But
I put wow at 21. They will give you gifts when you go, so you will not leave empty-handed. I just thought it was a wow moment. I was like, wow. Um,
and
I didn't understand why I had to be a snake. We have been.
wait, before we get, well, I mean, we could talk about that. But before we get there, when it was like the signs of his power, like even the section name, why does it always seem like people want God to prove something to them? Like,
We still don't believe it anyway. After they see, they still. I gotta say, after we see, and I have two examples here. If you would like to hear them quickly, one is one that I heard in church, and it was like if God came down and shouted to the point in which all humanity went deaf, people would be arguing in sign language that it wasn't God. It was some kind of something else.
I gotta tell you something else.
Everybody to do that. The other one was of a great flood, and the man was like, "I'm waiting on God," and God had sent a boat, a piece of bark that he could have floated on, and then he drowned and got to heaven. Was like, "Lord, why you ain't saved me?" He was like, "I sent you all of these things. You were just waiting for what you thought I should have sent you." So, you want signs. You know what's a sign? The fact that I can see you right now, being on that table and bringing life into the world. I'm here to tell you, every person that is breathing is a pure miracle. I don't know anything else that can give life the way that is. Like when you learn how the body works and how all, don't nobody even got the time to put all of that. The fact that your intestines is stretched out, like it's just a lot about us. How our cells, like you cut yourself and you wake up in the morning, you got new skin. Like it's just a lot about us. It's amazing. Like it's little thing, and it's because I get to relive it in a different eye because my kids tell me like I had to re-experience grass because they're little and they're like, "Oh, grass." You're like, I walk on top of it every day. I never took the time to appreciate what that feels like. I never looked at it differently like that. So seeing a lot of the life through the eyes of a kid, it's like, wow, I never took the time to appreciate that God made like we don't even have to, we just expect the sun to come up tomorrow. What if that joker was like, nah? It's like, but it does, and us being any more closer to the sun or any more further from it, it's just we have signs. We have signs that were always there, and we be asking for more. Well, Lord, if if you real, or if you don't want me to take this job, then
Yeah. So where I think that the difference here is like it's like when you have a pastor or preacher or prophetess, somebody who's saying that they are the ones who have heard from God, and they're coming into a group of people and like God spoke to me and said blah blah blah, and everybody doing the rock eyebrow. God spoke to you?
that's what I said.
Exactly. But that's what Moses is doing. Moses is coming into town saying God spoke to me and said we gotta roll out. Exactly. So now he got to do the tricks. He got to turn the staff.
You gotta do the tricks.
Now he got to turn the staff into a steak. He got to make his hands go decrepit. He got to
Would you believe if you saw that? If somebody was like, "Hey,"
the snake joint, I probably wouldn't believe. I didn't see too many magic tricks.
the hand, like you able to touch this hand, you can see. Well, actually, you don't even want to touch it because it's leprosy. But I don't.
The hand,
I'm relying on this unquestionable feeling because it's like that's what's written in Revelation
Mhm.
about how many people will be fooled by the Antichrist. And it's like I don't feel like that's something that one should be worried about. I feel like if you know God with your heart, you will know, like you will know his voice, you will know the representative of him that is sent. Like it, Michael show up, you're gonna be like, oh, all right, that Michael. Like you just it's a feeling. So when we did you watch Messiah on Netflix? And
Yeah,
everybody was trying to figure out who it is, that, and the third. It wasn't really for us to figure out because we're on the outside. Had we really met that man, I feel like we would have instantly been able to tell, like, that's my connection and draw.
the camera.
Huh?
Your hand motions are shaking the camera. Look like an earthquake over there.
My bad. But yeah, I feel like I'm leaning on me knowing God enough where I would know his voice. It's kind of like how you know your parent voice right now. And then if you were to go away and come back and hear him on the phone, oh, that's my mom type of thing. um it all goes back to what you were saying, like having that relationship. When you have that real relationship, not I prayed over my food, or I went to church on Easter, or my grandmama know him. Like somebody made a joke the other day and was like, when I get to heaven, I'm gonna call my mother. Like, I don't know if that's gonna work. Like, I just don't know. I'm not saying it won't. I just don't know if that's good. That's a good plan. But I don't know signs. If none of them signs are in this book, the last book, I'm looking for them kind of signs. If those, you're gonna have to come with the horses and the trumpets and all of that. And honestly, I plan on not really. I don't want to. I don't even want to be around in that part. I plan on already being in heaven, watching it from the 80-inch screen. Just like, okay, I'm thinking something like that, like the end. Hopefully, like centuries from now, like some more time so everybody can like get their Jesus in. But yeah, signs. But I just wrote that.
Yeah. 411.
Hold on, you didn't talk about Moses on 10?
Oh, you want to go 410?
Yeah, I was talking about. Oh,
I
am
was
I?
going to just go to the reply.
I mean, I just wanted to note that I feel like Moses had a stutter, and that was his speech impediment. When he said, "I'm not good with words," it's not like, "Oh, I don't have the words to say," because God obviously can tell you what to say. But I think it was like him stuttering, and when you stutter, it's a whole different type of situation. Like I have a child in my class, um, who is special needs, and the stutter is like some people are thrown off as if you are not intelligent, when on the contrary, this child has, at least I'm talking about my child in my class, has like the greatest GPA of the in the class. So it's not but people take your stutter as if you are less intelligent, because if you can't even find the words to say, or you can't control your tongue, then I'm not good at speaking. People gonna get irritated, like, hurry up, like, where God, what you trying to say? Like, they might get irritated by him.
I would say it's more irritation, not necessarily they think they're stupid, but it's like, we're in a society where everything is instant. And
That's what
I know even for me, like when people talk slowly, you know who I'm talking about. People talk too slowly, and I be like, what was that movie, Zootopia, with the
slow.
yes, like, and I am not someone who is like overly like speed. I can kind of listen to people kind of get it out, but if you're someone who talks super slow and repeat yourself, we don't need to do this again. Got it the first time. So what I like to do is I like to just repeat what they said back, and I can do it faster. I'd be like, oh, so what you said is, and then they'd be like, yeah, and I'm like, cool.
Yeah. They probably hit Moses with the, can you text it to me? Just just text it to me. just
Um,
text.
but
But
yeah,
I understand his step back. Like, I'm concerned because I don't think that they're gonna listen to me, because especially if some people have already treated you that way and said, I ain't got time. Get to the meat, or I ain't got time. So his brother stepping in, um
well,
is, I think, what you want to go
he
into.
allows for his brother to step in. God pops off again and was like, who makes a person's mouth? Like, I made your mouth. I know what's going on with it. Like, and I'm saying
Yeah.
it's fine. 411.
11. Okay. Because I was on 12 when he was like, now go.
Like, Who makes like I make like correct me if I'm wrong, but did I not create you? So I know. And I'm still telling you to do what I done said. Like you said, go.
Now, good.
So it was just like I had to know, it's like it said God decides. And so even when we have a list of things about why we're not qualified and what wouldn't make us the best candidate, if he says you're the best candidate, you're the best candidate.
Yeah.
Period.
I mean, but I also take it as like, don't be afraid to ask for additional help. Like, just because you're ready doesn't mean that you don't ask for resources, like, hey, or ask questions. Some people feel like they shouldn't ask questions. Now, questioning God
Yeah,
and asking questions are different. Like, questioning God is in his intentions versus, hey, I would like to know just a little bit more. Like, you said to start this business with, where the money gonna, like, tell me where to dig for the money. Like, and if the answer is don't worry about it, then maybe you proceeding like that. But asking a question is like I said, but he said, Lord, please send somebody else.
yeah, he wasn't asking for help. He was like, I don't want to do it, not
Yeah,
me,
he
anybody
said
else.
not somebody else. He said anyone else.
Yeah, send somebody else. And it says the Lord became angry. Like I feel
All
like,
right.
am I repeating myself, bro? Like I told you who I am. I showed you signs. I done told you your stutter don't matter. Do you realize who I am? I got stuff to do. I don't have time to be arguing with you. Aaron can go. Aaron can help you. Like he just like, just super irritated. And I was honestly irritated by him at this point also.
But I feel like it speaks to a genre of people that definitely need this. Not just people who have a stutter, but people who don't have the confidence.
Yeah.
Somebody who feels like God told me that I'm supposed to be a mother of twins, and my husband just passed away. Like, how? Who? Like, why? How am I gonna do that? Or that I'm supposed to, like, Robert Kiyosaki was teaching people how to build wealth, and he was not wealthy. He was poor. Like, how am I supposed to be teaching people to do something that I haven't even accomplished myself? Like, shouldn't I be a millionaire before I start helping millionaires? Shouldn't I be in shape before I help people get in shape, type of thing? So sometimes we have in our head what we need to be and what we need to look like. And I think this is I know that this is a message that a lot more people will relate to. If this story was God picked the perfect person and that person thought they also was perfect, and then they went and the Pharaoh believed them, because the Pharaoh knew God too. Like, it would be like, Exodus was short. Maybe like Titus. So I mean, yeah, it definitely is like that for a reason. But I said the same thing. I said I can only imagine the frustration from God. Just do it. I'm God. I wrote that note a long time ago. That note old.
The only other thing I wrote was just like Moses, parentheses us, worried about the wrong things. Like we are always worried about the wrong things instead of just doing the assignment.
Mm-hmm. I also think understanding the assignment makes it easier too. Just like if you're going to present, like how we're sitting here and we sharing, our notes. If we sat here and we didn't like really study, like we ain't had no notes, and you sitting there and you like, where you at? I was trying to hurry up and read it before. Yeah. And then he said, yeah, Moses went back. It's like you might have some reservation with your assignment if you're not, prepared, or you don't have, you don't know what's going on. So I think, taking the time to really listen. He said, do this, do this, do this. Okay. If those are the things he told you to do, hey, run with it.
I mean, he
And
said,
I asked myself again, do I do what Moses did?
yeah, we all do.
It's like, is God better? Because it's funny, and I know I've said this multiple times, but when I talk to my kids and I'm telling them what I'm disappointed in, and I'll be like, God is saying that to me. And then I'm immediately like, you know what? Grace. Because I want God to give me some grace too. So, and it's funny because now my kids be like, Mom, can we just have grace? They ask for grace. So I feel like I definitely do what Moses did. What about Oh, I made a note in here a long time ago. I guess not too long ago, maybe 2 years ago. Um, where it says God could cause or cure any kind of disease, I put COVID-19 on there. I just wrote COVID-19. Oh, I did this in what is this, 7th month? July? July 31st, 2020. I was reading this. I was like, oh, not really thinking that 2022 it was still be here. COVID is still here. I'm gonna make that note. I'm gonna make that note next to it and say 2022, still COVID. COVID 22. Well, not really. I mean, like the date. But that's all I got for that page.
That's all I have. My last note, I had to reread the last part of chapter 4 multiple times, like 5 times, because I was like, the way that it's written, I was like, why is God about to kill Moses? Like, I was so confused. I was like,
Well, some people think it's Moses, and some people think it's
Gershom.
yeah, Gershom.
But like I couldn't figure out what from the way that the story went, because he says Moses went back to his father-in-law, said, I'm about to go back to Egypt, check on my family. And father-in-law says, go. Says before 4:19, before Moses left Midian, the Lord said to him, return to Egypt, for all those who wanted to kill you have died. So
Saying I'm moving home to Jethro, who is his father-in-law. He says, please let me return to my relatives in Egypt. Moses said, I don't even know if they're still alive. Jethro basically blessed them and said, go in peace. Moses, before he left Midian, the Lord, oh, sorry, Morgan. I know, I'm still recording. I don't see. Morgan is saying let her in. I don't see Morgan. You need to, um, okay. Oh, that's insane. Morgan, okay, well, Morgan, something happened. But in that section, the study notes said that Moses clung tight to the shepherd's staff as if he left Egypt and faced a great challenge of his life. The staff was like his assurance, like his safety. That's what he felt was his safety. And the note say for assurance, when facing great trials, God has given his promises to the world. He's given us the Bible. He's given us great people that we have learned from in our faith. Um, that's what we should cling tight to enhance our faith. So my personal is the things that do I really reach out? Do I really reach out and grab and cling on to God's word in a way in which I feel like that is my safety, that is what I'm going to do in order to move forward? I would hope so for many people, but I must say and be honest that sometimes we lean on our own strengths when we feel it's a strength or our own comfort thing. And we're not able to do that. We're not able to go through and follow through with the plan that God has for us. Um, you know what? We left off and we were talking about whether or not we thought that it was Moses. Um, I'm trying to look for the actually I'm going to do next week, and actually I'm going to do section three is God says no to forgiveness, and it goes into four. So I think I'm gonna go to three because in four it says the flag strike. It's similar to the signs that he showed when he was in Exodus 4:1. So I think I'm gonna stop. I think I'm gonna stop there. So I'm gonna do Exodus 3, Exodus 5, 6, and 5, 6, and 7, 13. Yeah. All right. So that is what we are going to do. I really want to, like I said, go ahead and go. But I really wanted to know what her notes were about. 'Cause I know, like, that with Exodus 4, 18 to 31, there is a big back and forth on whether it was Moses or Gideon and who God was trying to have that situation. And so what I want to do, because I was actually just listening to Bible read, I want to hear her point of view. So actually, I feel like we'll start with Exodus 4:18 and have me and Morgan's notes on that, and then go into Exodus 5. That's what, and hopefully my stream doesn't kick her out. All right, so thank you guys so much for tuning in. We actually went over time. So sorry, we went over time by 23 minutes. We're going to try to wrap it up a lot better, unless told otherwise. But we appreciate you guys tuning in. Again, it says 5 to 7:13, but I think I would rather us start where we left off, which is Exodus 4:18 to 31. So we'll do that.